Kenny was then asked to describe the events of June 19, 2009. Kenny said that he was at the Staples Center and Michael arrived, and did not appear well at all. Kenny observed that Michael was chilled, soft-spoken, and not well. Kenny was concerned that he was in no kind of condition to perform. Kenny said that when he asked Michael if he wanted to go home, Michael didn't want to at first, and asked if he could have the choreographer go through the movements, and that he wanted to sit in the arena. Kenny then went on to say that he felt Michael appeared really lost, and that he was staring, and that he didn't know what was wrong with Michael, but that he knew something was wrong, and that he was scared. Kenny then approached Michael again, and asked if he wanted to go home. Michael asked if Kenny would be okay with that, to which Kenny answered, absolutely, so Michael left. Kenny said that he had never seen Michael Jackson in that condition before.
He missed a number of rehearsals in a period. It was later in the rehearsals that he missed. There was period of time. It was accumulated dates. It was a week, early June. For about a week, Michael Jackson missed a series of rehearsals. It quickly became clear that the meeting was about me, that the doctor was upset that I had sent Michael home, and did not allow him to rehearse the night before. And because I had voiced my concerns about Michael's health that evening. Dr. Murray told me that this was not my responsibility, and to not act like a doctor or a psychologist, and to leave Michael's health to him.
What was really painful is that he called me last Sunday, in the afternoon, and he said, well, the person who called for him, I could hear Michael in the background. He was very frantic, and he said, Michael needs to see you right away. Can you come and see him? And I said, what's wrong? And I could hear Michael in the background, tell her that one side of my body is hot, and one side of my body is cold. It's very cold. And I said, tell him he needs to go to the hospital. I don't know what's going on with him right now, but I'm in Florida, and I cannot come. And at that point, I knew that somebody had given him something that hit that central nervous system, because, that's all he wanted was to sleep, but he was in trouble. He was in trouble Sunday, and he was crying out Sunday. He said, find me an anesthesiologist. I don't care how much money they want. Find me an anesthesiologist to be with me here overnight and give me this IV. My doctor told me this is a safe medicine. I said, it is not a safe medicine. I just called a friend of mine. It has a multitude of side effects. I said, the central nervous system problems, there's memory loss. I mean, the last end result of this is death. I said, you don't want to do this. He said, no, my doctor said it's safe. It works quick and it's safe. As long as somebody's here to monitor me and wake me up, I'm going to be okay. He kept saying anesthesiologist like he knew. I didn't even know what it said about the medicine and how it was used for anesthesia. So Michael was fully aware of it. He said, I had it before and I slept good. And I said, well, it is not safe. I don't know why anyone is telling you it's safe. And I said, the problem with you telling me you want to be knocked out, those were his words, is that you might not wake up the next morning. You don't want to do that.
Sherilyn Lee is a registered nurse, family practitioner. She says she worked with Michael as a nutritional counselor, claims Michael was so distressed by insomnia that he begged her for the powerful sedative Diprivan. Since you went public, have the police contacted you at all?
No.
Nobody wants to know more about it? Now, Diprivan, as we understand it, I recently had Diprivan when I had a cataract fixed.
Okay.
That's this thing that puts you to sleep, it's done in the hospital, and you wake up right away, right?
As far as I know, yes.
And it's given intravenously.
This is what I read.
So when he asked you for it, what did you say?
When he asked me for it, I was not aware of it. I didn't
You
even
didn't even know what he was talking about?
I didn't know what he was talking to
So
me
what did
about.
you say to him?
I said, let me go and find out what this is, but if it's something IV, I don't think it's something you want to do at home.
How'd you come to start with Michael?
About in the latter part of January, I had a call that he wanted someone to see his children. They had a slight little cold, and I was asked to come in and see them.
How did he know about you?
Through a friend.
So you went and saw the kids?
I went to go see the kids.
And then?
And then from there, we had a little tea party of some vitamin C and things for their little cold. Then Michael asked me, well, what do you do? I said, well, what's going on with you? And so he started telling me that I'm just tired. I've just been a little fatigued. And I said, okay, well, why don't we just set up and do anyone fatigued if they present in a clinic, we do complete lab work. And so we find out, what maybe might be draining their body or what's going on in a pathological sense to see what's happening with them on a nutritional basis to try to bridge the two together. He said, fine, that's great. I like to know. So he asked me, can we do it that day? And I told him, no, I have to go back to my office and I can schedule to come back later. He said, well, can you come back tomorrow? I said, sure. So you need to fast tonight and don't eat anything so I can draw your blood tomorrow. So he said, okay.
And what did you learn from all that?
From all that, I did learn that there was...
Did you check his blood out?
Yeah.
And
medically, or nutritionally, I didn't find anything other than just a little low blood sugar.
Did you then look up Diprivan?
I didn't know about it then.
But
he wasn't talking about it.
Look it up?
Oh no, this didn't happen. This conversation didn't come up for a couple months.
Oh, that came much after this.
Yeah,
right?
much after.
Because Diprivan would never be given in a home, right? It's a hospital drug when you're going in for surgery.
Yeah, and I just recently found out about it myself. I actually was, this is months later when he said, I'm just having a lot of trouble sleeping. I would love for you to come out and to assist me and see.
I got you. Did he ask Sherilyn for any other drugs?
No.
Sleep drugs?
He never asked for any sleep drugs. He said he only wanted one that he knew of as time went on, like months later, that was going to help me to sleep. Because he said, I know it would help me sleep.
Have you worked with addicts?
Yes, I have.
Did he signal you in any way that he was one? Did
No,
you feel
he did not. No, he did not. I just saw him as a loving, caring father, nurturing father, and passionate about his work, very creative, and he just loved mankind. He never said a negative thing about anybody or anything.
What did you think when he died? Other than being shocked, was there a part of it not surprising to you, since you'd gone through some medical things with him?
The only part, I was shocked. I was very shocked because of the fact that I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what happened, you know, and I do know that...
but on the other hand, you knew he had he had sleep problems.
He had sleep problems, but I do know on one day, it was Father's Day, he called me, and I hadn't seen him in 3 months. And he called me, he said, and he was a little frantic. He said, I'm not feeling well. Didn't say it as calmly as I'm saying it right now. But he said, I have these symptoms, and I don't feel well. One side of my body is very, very hot, and one side is very, very cold. And 3 months prior, when I learned of the medication, I told him I didn't know what it was. I'll investigate it. And I called a physician friend, and I asked him about it, and he told me what it was. And I'm saying, I went back and told Michael, I said, Michael, this is something serious. You don't want to take this. You just don't want to take this.
What do you make of the hot and cold thing?
When he was giving me his symptoms, I was in Florida. I happened to have been in the ER myself when he was telling me his symptoms. And I told him, I said, this sounds serious. You know, I don't know what's going on with you. For you to say one side of your body is hot, one side is cold. And the reason I feel he probably reached out to call me on Father's Day is because 3 months prior, I had a chance to take my PDR back to his house and show him the side effects of this medication. And I think, you know...
You think maybe he got it? He got the medication from somewhere else?
I was concerned.
We're going to spend some time, however, on the phone with Sherilyn Lee, the registered nurse, who apparently was involved in some way with administering drugs to Michael Jackson, as she says. When did you work with him, Sherilyn?
From January until 3 months ago.
Of this year?
Yes.
How did he retain you?
Actually, through a very close dear friend. He called and had a concern. His kids had a little cold and wanted to know if I would come by and take a look at the kids. And then while I was there, he said, well, what else do you do? And I said, well, I help people if they have low energy. And, you know, some of the people I've worked with low energy when they needed it was Shaquille O'Neal, through his father-in-law, Lee Nelson. And so it sort of happened from there.
And then did you see him at various times at his home?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when did he ask you about the drug Diprivan?
About 3 months ago.
And what is Diprivan?
And when he mentioned it to me, I actually had never heard of it.
Sources close to Michael Jackson tell us that during the History Tour, that was back in 96, 97, Jackson was traveling with what looked like this mini clinic. Jackson was traveling with at least 2 doctors, one of whom was anesthesiologist Dr. Neil Ratner.
I can't talk about it right now.